use, but only for anthropologists interesting or
well, the preservation, I think, of the language that, you know, in future we'll be able to tell. For example, one of the anthropologists we met said that the closest relative to this language was actually Japanese. So I think which was absolutely fascinating. I mean, it was very...
So it's still very distant, but that's
it's still very distant, but that's as close as it gets. So, I mean, I think one of the reasons to preserve the language will be that it will tell us, you know, a little bit more about.
But it's now as purely academic interest rather than some sort of. Well, I guess it always is really studying people's languages and things. It's can't always tell you that much about the people. I thought it was interesting that the emphasis upon different types of words you can sort of imply how important things like collecting shells was based on if they got lots of
absolutely
words,
like the Eskimos with lots of the Inuit with lots of words for snow.
Exactly.
I'm
not sure that's entirely true, but
I think maybe the take-home message is, you know, that there are plenty of languages that are perhaps going to go extinct unless something is done about it, and maybe that's what the focus should be on. You know, for example, in Papua New Guinea, they have a different language for every valley. You know, so maybe that's what we should have as a take-home message.
Well, all right. Another question was, or actually more or less a statement, was that Christina Calderon, the last Yagan full-blooded Indian, that she was very polite because she says, I heard that all the white people were the reason of the distinction of the Yagans, but she says only I heard it. So it's stated here that she's very polite. What do you think about it?
What, that she might have come out and said, it doesn't sound like she really claims the white.
There was no anger with her.
No.
I think there might have been with some of them, but with her there wasn't. She seemed quite confused actually about what all the fuss was about on one level.
Yes. Do you think it's a certain amount of like self-denial? Because it's got to be a depressing thing to realise that you're at the end of. I'm sure on some level she did appreciate exactly what the situation was. That she is the last in a long line of certain people that are now extinct. Do you think she was just didn't really want to face up to that reality? It's a pretty bleak concept.
No, but as I say, I think she didn't feel she was the last.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
There should be also a lot of pain in the whole culture in these last 15 Yagan descendants. And do you think when you talked with her, you felt this pain or not at all?
No, I don't think. In a way, it may be that she didn't necessarily feel that. She was perhaps a little bit confused as to what the fuss was all about.
Yeah.
You know, I think
you hear about the terrible things that the white people did.
We were even like emotional.
Yeah. It was very emotional for us. I mean, we were all quite staggered. She really was. It was. And also I think they don't talk about death in the way that we do. I mean, death was something, you know, that she didn't really. Her husband, I think, had died within a few. I think within a month or so, and you know, we were told that they don't really discuss death. So maybe there was also a sort of slight cultural thing. Yeah,
and different attitudes towards the past. I mean, other people. I think in the West we have a very strong. You know, we feel bad for the things that. You know, our ancestors did. When logically speaking, you know, it's not something that we did. So, how or why should we feel bad about it? You shouldn't. There was something that's. And you said the connection with Japanese culture. I think in their culture as well, you don't apologise for things that you didn't do, and you don't feel bad about things that you weren't involved in. It's probably a more healthy attitude.
There definitely was anger, though. I mean, one of the people refused to interview me.
Yes.
Yeah, she didn't want to be interviewed by a Darwin.
Right.
Because there was, you know, social Darwinism and things. She you know, so there was anger around, but not with the Yagan, I don't think.
Somebody says here that he has some problems with the conclusion of the episode because in the conclusion we said something like the Indians of Terra Fuego were also humans, which is kind of he has problems with this conclusion. Can you imagine? Because Darwin mentioned that when he made his journey and met the Yagans, he said, well, they're humans as well, and we are animals as well, something like that. He has problems with with conclusion.
It can be confusing that. Yeah, I think the fact that Darwin said these things about the similarities between a civilized and savage, the differences between civilized and savage people, is greater than the difference between a domesticated and a wild dog or cow. But I think, from Darwin's point of view, that he saw that as bringing the human world closer to the animal world, rather than it could be misinterpreted as separating the civilized and savage man, which is obviously not what he meant.
Definitely not what he meant.
So you're right, there is some confusion in there, but I think that's certainly how he meant it, that we were all part of the bigger family rather than using it to separate the races or anything like that.
So it sounds a bit like top down when you say or top down that there is some kind of hierarchy.
Yeah, exactly.
When you say that Pterodaphilians are also humans, but it's just the whole.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm sure he realised that the distinction was so basic and so minor between civilized and savage. It's all superficial stuff, because they were able to civilize these people within a year, and then within a few months they were back again.
To the way they were,
It's just about culture and upbringing.
But I think also, if you see it in perspective, there were people around at that time who tried to forgive slavery by saying that there were different species of humans, and so that was also, I mean, Darwin clearly knew that was not the case.
It's the only way people could justify the terrible things they were doing to other peoples, was by not viewing them as the same, not viewing them as the colonists in Tierra del Fuego literally started hunting the natives, and they saw them as no different to animals.
I have here a question for Redmond, but where's Redmond?
He's probably sleeping or something.
Reading.
Reading.
He's inside.
Yeah?
He's recording now.
Okay.
He's recording now.
Well,
maybe we know it.
I can tell you what he said.
So,
something similar.
someone says here that Redmond always speaks like he was living in the Darwin period, he just met.
He's older than he looks.
He's older than Darwin.
How old is he? Is the question.
That is the question.
21, of course.
I don't know.
I know. I'm not going to tell anyone. No, what a rude question.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Well, sorry, I don't know anymore. But another person says, like the conclusion of Redmond in the last part of the episode, he said, it seems like we're getting more religious every day. It was like he was scared off with the whole mission thing, I think. Do you know what he exactly meant by that?
Yeah, well, I think it's because that was the backdrop to the whole story, was the religious purposes. They were trying to do this really good thing, as they sort of Christianizing these people and setting up a missionary. And if that is your heartfelt belief, then you should do it. If you believe that they're going to go to hell unless you do this, then of course it's a noble thing. It's just tragic that the consequences were so bad. But what Redmond said about people getting more religious, and thankfully there are fewer things like this going on today. People physically imposing their religion.
Hold on, we've still got missionaries in the Amazon.
Yeah.
People still trying to go and save, we shouldn't forget that.
In the old-fashioned way, or is it just different now?
Well, I mean, I don't think they're going around shooting them.
But
That's
not what the missionaries were doing either.
Exactly, but that was one of the things that happened.
Yeah, we no longer sort of forcibly relocate
people
people out of their homeland, and we do it, I think, in more subtle ways, like this converting people to our Western way of life, and thereby, people see what it is that we have and want, and medicines and technology and clean water and things like that, and that's what tends to subvert cultures today, rather than religious purposes. It's normally the encroachment of Western ideals, morals, and technology mostly. When you see all these shots of Amazonian natives, and then they're
With lighters.
exactly and mobile phones and things. And you think, well,
who can blame and petrol to run engines and